I feel like we just lost rape. Uh, from Aziz Ansari, Johnny Depp, there have been many cases where Believe All Women has fallen flat, and rightfully so in many instances. And with Graham Plattner, it just feels like it is the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, the situation that he was embroiled in broke the camel's back on his campaign, but when I'm watching Sonny Halston on The View versus Marjorie Taylor Greene, now earlier, Sonny had told Sarah, yes, I would have held my nose and wouldn't vote for him, despite the previous allegations of domestic violence and sexual assault. She doesn't live in Maine, but if she did live in Maine, she would have went to vote for Graham because there were larger issues at stake. But this issue, this final one, was just one too many, and they were exhausted. And a lot of people did that. A lot of people were like, "This is one too many." I don't know why have to get to one too many. Like why it's 13 and not 12 for some of these people, but it was, whatever the number is. I'm not saying it was 12 or 13, but just how you draw the distinction. But watch this clip right quick.
Pieces of it.
I do
three
want to
separate.
I do want to get
that's
to
not. That's not.
So
all,
can you
yes,
answer my question? Why did you post that?
Absolutely, I posted that because I support women who have been raped or sexually assaulted, and I want them to have justice.
But not if they've had consensual sex before.
Then, secondly, don't wait until they're running for office. We need to know early on.
She was warning the
I
public.
was warning the public.
No, but
okay?
this woman is warning
I know,
the
no,
public.
I'm saying the public needs to be warned because rapists need to be convicted.
I do want to
So it's
ask
the
you
woman's
about.
fault.
No, Sonny, it's not the woman's fault.
Alyssa.
It's not.
Now, the reason I care so much, not because of that debate, which was eye-opening on its own, to hear both of these women kind of wrestle with what does it mean and what is a woman's responsibility. You hardly hear women in particular talk about responsibility when it comes to women. And Sonny really thinks she has a gotcha. It's like, so it's women's fault. And because you cannot say that. This is the main stumbling block for equality, is because women can't be held accountable. And if you can't be accountable, then you're not responsible, and you can't be responsible, then you can't be in charge. So that becomes a self-fulfilling loop there. So she thinks, once I say, hey, it's women's fault, you can't say that because everything has to be men's fault. And if it has to all be men's fault, then men have to be in charge, because the buck has to stop somewhere. Someone has to say, okay, this is my fault. I'm taking responsibility. I'll fix it. And if every time a woman's in charge, it gets to the buck stops here, but I wouldn't have done it, and you're saying this is my fault and it's not me, no equality. It's just shut down right then and there. So when it comes to this issue, the reason it caught my attention was that I was bothered because I listened to The View. I listened to a lot of women's views, Breaking Point. But I was watching like the Bitchuation Room with Francesca and Emma on there. And they were declaring, after he credibly raped this woman, I was like, when did we get to rape? Like, we jumped a few steps. I didn't know. Now we're at credible rape. Like, this man is in jail serving a sentence like this. They went to court and established or whatever else. This is someone, a female that had been having sex with, texted him that night about a butt massage. He comes over, and then she's just like, he was still wanting to, but I didn't really want to, but I feel like he's bigger than me, so I went ahead and did it. Okay, well, your compliance could have been conceived as consent. As a matter of fact, when I started to hear the story at the beginning, it was just like blackout drunk and this, that, and other, and so on and so forth. I assumed they were talking about her, because blackout drunk and can't remember what happened is usually the get out of jail free card for women in these situations. Yeah, I went to his house half dressed, but I was so drunk I didn't. And usually it's like, oh, well, if you're blackout drunk, then, and you went off with some man, then you bear no responsibility. But no, he bears all the responsibility for being blackout drunk, not being aware of what he's doing, not being able to consent himself, and not remembering the next day. 100 full freight responsibility, even though he met the old criteria that would get women out of jail for free. And then two, you went ahead and complied, and he was supposed to read your mind that your compliance was not consent. And so therefore, because of what was going on inside your head, instead of what was going on inside of his head, we're all ready to rape? That doesn't make any sense. You could have stopped him at the door. You could have called the police if he didn't leave. You could have texted him in the daylight hours. You effectively texted him you up. And if you felt that strongly about it, even if you wanted to wait all of this time, then take it to the police and let the media get the police report. But it became conveniently, you don't have the text, but you kind of told a friend and whatever else. And I'm just establishing this is nowhere near rape. It's not even within the zip code of sexual assault. And that's why we've lost it, because from here on out, when people hear either one of those terms, they're going to be like, because this is what they're going to have in mind. Kind of this Aziz Ansari situation where some woman has sex with a guy, and then when she remembers it, she didn't think she really wanted to that time. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. I can save y'all the 5 years of arguing with me, because men do control the world, and men are not going to continue to have their lives ruined and whatever else over a woman did it, but she didn't really want to after the fact or whatever. That's not going to cut it. And I suggest y'all distance yourself from that and get back to the actual victims so that their complaints and their concerns are not ignored because we have people over here stretching the definitions. So please, 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 because if I was Graham Plattner, I would have made sure that y'all would have to do everything in this world to get me out of that race. The voters voted for me. I'm not going nowhere. I don't care how many dates go by. I'm going to be in this election. And if it's worth y'all for this July surprise to lose, then we'll lose. I'm ready to lose. And if Troy Jackson does not win this fall, it will be blamed on this woman. 100%. There are people already gearing up. And as you can see, it's clear as mud in the female community, because it's happened little by little, from Aziz to Johnny Depp to whatever, where believing women doesn't make sense 100% of the time. I'll hear you out. I'll listen to both sides of the story. I'll try to discern between those two versions what actually happened or what likely happened. But this blanket version where you tell me something and then I ruin somebody's life first, whether it's true or not, it's not fair. It's not going to last. It's already dead. It's going out as woke 1.0, which I call white woke, because woke isn't going anywhere, which is just becoming aware. But the hysterical, radical, extreme element of it, yeah, that's gone. Because that's just people just got initially fired up and just found a new toy and just like, hey, you know what? The police shoot black people. Yeah, we already know that. So that's why the marches were 80% white. We already know that. And we want structural change. We need structural change to each one of these things. That's why the black voters are slow to even pick up on the DSA. I'm in full throated support of these guys, but I know black people like it probably ain't gonna work. They don't care. And so they have to be a little bit more convinced. They didn't vote for Barack Obama. They were going to vote for Hillary Clinton until he won white votes in like Iowa or New Hampshire or somewhere. And then they were like, okay, well, maybe they will vote for him. And then black people got on board. So I do not believe that Graham Plattner should have left the race. And I believe that if Marjorie Taylor Greene and Sonny Holston lived in Maine and this story ran a couple of news cycles and they had a chance to vote for him, they still both would have voted for him.